If you're struggling to lose weight, your problem isn't willpower, it's insulin. You see, most doctors won't tell you this, but one single hormone inside of your body, when elevated, can block fat burning 24/7, and you're spiking it multiple times throughout the day without even knowing it. You fix this one thing and your body becomes a fat burning machine. No extreme diets, no endless workouts, no calorie counting, just this simple little tip. Let's start with the first tip. That's going to be to take vitamin G every single day to lower insulin and to lower the stress hormone cortisol. You may have heard of the cortisol belly. The cortisol belly is belly fat and visceral fat that accumulates around your midsection over time when the stress hormone cortisol is elevated. You see, insulin follows cortisol. And an interesting fact for you is that your visceral fat, that's the nasty white fat around your organs, the visceral fat has twice as many receptor sites for cortisol than the healthy subcutaneous fat. That means when cortisol is high, you are going to signal to your metabolism, increase insulin, pack on visceral fat. Vitamin G is the best supplement to raise oxytocin and dopamine, which automatically, within seconds, lowers cortisol and lowers insulin. Vitamin G has been proven to be anti-inflammatory. It also helps with brain fog, mitochondrial function. UC Davis has studies showing that those who take vitamin G have healthier blood pressure levels, healthier blood sugar levels, and there's many studies showing when you take vitamin G, it could lower your cortisol by 23% and improve insulin sensitivity, all by this simple supplement. So what is vitamin G? You're probably looking on Amazon already or in the show notes for a link and a coupon code for vitamin G, but guess what? Vitamin G is vitamin gratitude. Every single piece of data, research study I just cited is on the feeling of gratitude. I call it vitamin G. In chapter 10 of my latest book, Metabolic Freedom, I talk all about vitamin G gratitude. You see, fat loss isn't just about food and workouts. Your mindset and your stress levels control insulin more than people realize. This is why I believe vitamin G is the most underrated fat loss supplement that you can take every single day. Best part about it, you could take it as many times as you want throughout the day. It's completely free and there's no toxicity limit. So before you begin your meals, go into that meal present with a grateful heart. Shift from that fight or flight stress response of your day-to-day activities to a parasympathetic rest and digest grateful state. And one more thing I would add, when you wake up first thing in the morning, that is the best time to take a good dose of vitamin G. The second tip to lower insulin and burn fat is going to be to prioritize protein, especially at the beginning of all meals. So if you eat a mixed meal of carbohydrates, protein, and fat, studies show when you actually eat the protein first, and if you have fiber in that meal, the protein and the fiber, and wait until the end of the meal to have the carbohydrates, you actually get a better response from that meal. What do I mean by better response? Well, what happens when you eat a meal, there's going to be a blood sugar increase in your body. Blood sugar goes up, so glucose increases in your bloodstream. Then your body, your pancreas, produces insulin from the beta cells of insulin to clear that excess glucose out of the bloodstream, and it sends it to your cells. Now, it first sends it to your liver and muscle cells, and if it's excess, then it sends it to your fat cells. The more insulin that's produced to get this job done, the more it's signaling to your metabolism, store fat. Well, what if you could blunt that glucose response? This is called postprandial glucose. Well, you can do this by having protein and fiber, if you have fiber, before the carbohydrates. You see, protein slows gastric emptying and can reduce that blood sugar spike by up to 40% in some cases. Protein also boosts satiety hormones like cholecystokinin, peptide YY, leptin. You don't have to know those hormones, but chances are if you have the protein first and then they offer you dessert, you might not even want that dessert. You'll probably stay healthy for that meal and stay clean on course because protein is so filling and satiating. So what you want to do is start your meals with 20 to 30 grams of whole food protein. Egg, salmon, steak, chicken, Greek yogurt. Veggies second, carbs last. So if you have a piece of steak with broccoli and a sweet potato, you would eat the steak, the broccoli, then the sweet potato. Another example, if you have chicken with Brussels sprouts and let's say white rice, you would have the chicken, then the Brussels sprouts, then the white rice last. This works whether you're low carb or not. The order matters. This is called food combination, and I talk about this in chapter 11 and so much more in Chapter 11 of Metabolic Freedom. The third tip to create low levels of insulin and keep your body in a fat-burning state is going to be to keep your total carbohydrates every day under 100 grams. And even better, if you want faster results, under 50 grams per day. Here's why. The average person in the United States eats over 200 to 300 grams of carbohydrates per day. Why is that an issue? Well, when we look at this graph I'm going to show on the screen, and if you're listening on the podcast, I'll explain the graph. This is showing the blood insulin response from our three macronutrients: carbohydrates, protein, and fat. As you can see, carbohydrates will raise your blood insulin levels higher than any other macronutrient. Of course, whole food, single ingredient carbohydrates will not raise it as your insulin as high as processed carbohydrates, but all carbs will spike insulin. When insulin is spiked, your body is signaling fat storage, not fat burning. I always want you to remember this. High levels of insulin, fat storage. Low levels of insulin, fat burning. So when you restrict your carbohydrates and make the upper limit 100 grams or even better 50 total grams per day, and instead of the carbs, you're going to replace that with protein and fat, you will have healthier levels of blood insulin throughout the day, helping your body shift into a fat-burning state. This also boosts energy, so there's no energy crashes after meals, helps with brain fog, productivity, and mental clarity as well. So how do you know how many carbs you're having each day? You would use a free meal tracker app where you would put in your food and it tells you exactly how many grams of carbs you're having per day. There's a ton of them that are free out there. The one that I use is Chronometer. If you go to chronometer.com/ketocamp, that is CRONO meter.com/ketocamp, camp with a K, you could download that free app. That's the one I personally use and recommend to my students. I'll drop that link down below as well. The fourth trick to keep insulin low is to complete a 24-hour fast. This is called a water fast, once per week. A 24-hour fast gives your body a full break and a full reset. Yes, you will lower insulin every hour within that fast. That's great. You will also heal your gut, send more blood flow to the brain, clear out damaged cells and proteins and mitochondria that are not burning fat well, all within 24 hours. Your body also produces growth hormone at that 24-hour mark. Growth hormone is one of the most powerful fat-burning hormones inside of your body. It's also muscle building, muscle preserving, anti-aging. Get this, studies show that there's a 2,000% increase in this powerful fat-burning hormone, human growth hormone, after a 24-hour water fast in men. And for women, there's a 1,300% increase in human growth hormone after a 24-hour water fast. This will help your body burn through its sugar reserves. This is the stored carbohydrates you have in your liver and muscle cells. Once you burn through that, your body makes the switch to using body fat, stomach fat, belly fat, visceral fat for energy. So how do you practice this? Choose one day per week to go 24 hours without food. You're essentially going to go either breakfast to breakfast or lunch to lunch or dinner to dinner once per week. For example, if you're done eating Sunday at 6 p.m., you would fast, no food, until Monday at 6 p.m. What can you have during your fast? Water, unflavored electrolytes, minerals, coffee and tea, but no food. If you're new to fasting, you may want to start with a 14-hour fast once a week, then an 18-hour fast once a week, and build your way up to a 24-hour fast. I talk a lot more about fasting in Chapter 6 of my latest book, Metabolic Freedom. Tip number 5 is going to be to go for a 10 to 30-minute walk after your biggest meal of the day. And for most people, that's typically dinner. Here's why you want to do this. Post-meal walking reduces that blood sugar spike after eating, that postprandial glucose response, by 22% in some studies, and insulin by 18% in some studies, and other studies done on diabetics show could be over 30% decrease in that blood sugar spike by going for a 10 to 30 minute walk after that biggest meal. You see, movement activates something called your GLUT4 transporters. What that means is when you eat a meal, especially a big meal, and then you go for a walk, instead of using insulin to clear that excess glucose, your body starts now, the muscle cells in your body start using the glucose that's in the bloodstream, and it sucks it up like a sponge through this GLUT4 transporter. So less insulin is produced, meaning you go back into a fat-burning state much faster. Now, if you don't have time to do this, or I should say more accurately, you don't want to make time to do this, something else you can do, here's a cool little trick, is to do calf raises for 3 to 5 minutes after your biggest meal of the day. You're simply just going to stand up, and you could be at a working stand-up desk and do calf raises where you go up and down for 3 to 5 minutes. You could take breaks, but that also helps to activate those GLUT4 transporters. So just simply calf raises after your biggest meal of the day would help you burn fat. Super cool. Trick number 6 is going to be to consume 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar diluted with water 30 minutes before your biggest meal of the day. Again, that's usually dinner for most people. Here's why you want to do this. Apple cider vinegar contains acetic acid, which is a short-chain fatty acid that slows carbohydrate digestion and improves insulin sensitivity. There's a study showing that having apple cider vinegar before your big meal can lower that postprandial glucose response by 34%. So what you want to do is grab apple cider vinegar, mix it with water, drink it through a straw, 8 ounces of water, and you want to drink that 30 minutes before your biggest meal of the day. Trick number 7 is going to be to get 90 minutes of REM sleep each night and 90 minutes of deep sleep each night. What does that mean? Well, you go through different stages of sleep when you're unconscious at night. 2 of those stages are REM sleep, which stands for rapid eye movement sleep. This is where you consolidate short-term memory for long-term memory, and it's very calorically active. What do I mean by that? You burn a lot of calories to do this process, and when you get 90 minutes of REM sleep, you're going to burn fat because of that caloric consumption it takes to do this process. Deep sleep also is a part of sleep where you raise growth hormone, testosterone, you detoxify the body, and this also helps you burn fat because your fat-burning hormones are activated during deep sleep. When you're not getting 90 minutes of deep and REM sleep, you're going to be more insulin resistant. You're going to be hungrier in the morning. You're going to make worse decisions. You're going to want more carbohydrates. You're going to be more inclined to eat processed junk food when you get poor sleep. Even one night of bad sleep can raise glucose and insulin levels the next morning. So how do you achieve deep and REM sleep? How do you track deep and REM sleep? Okay, first let's talk about the best tips to get more deep and REM sleep. Number 1, the bedroom needs to be cold. Studies show 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit is the sweet spot to set your thermostat to get deep, fat-burning, restorative sleep. You also want to make sure that bedroom is dark, like a sleep cave. If you have blackout curtains, great. If not, get a sleep mask, and I'll drop a link for the sleep mask I use in the notes down below. You also want to make sure you stop eating at least 3 hours before bed. This might be the most powerful tip. When you eat too close to bed, it raises your heart rate, raises your body temperature, and now you're using energy and resources not to burn fat and to detoxify, but to digest that food. It's one of the worst things you can do for your health and your metabolism. But by giving your digestive system a 3-hour break, even better, a 5-hour break before bed, you allow your body to complete some of that digestion, lowers your heart rate, lowers your body temperature, and that's what helps you get into that deep fat-burning state of sleep for REM sleep and deep sleep. How do you track? I use an Oura ring, and I'll drop a link for an Oura ring, how you could get this sleep tracker as well in the notes down below. You could also use a Whoop band and other devices that are out there, so you choose your favorite device. Now I'm going to address the questions you posted on this topic. Before I do, I want to give you a free resource to take what you've learned today to the next level. I have a free guide, a fat burn ebook, where I teach you 3 easy steps to lose 10 pounds in 7 days. I tell you what to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, some lifestyle tips that you could do very easily, and you apply it, you'll get amazing results within a week. If you go and scan the QR code on the screen or go to burnfatbook.com, you could download that free ebook today. Also, I'm doing a speaking tour right now for my latest book, Metabolic Freedom. I'm speaking across the United States, in the Middle East, and we're adding dates all over the place, and I'd love to see you in person. We're also doing book signings and meet and greets at these events. If you head over to benazadi.com/events, you can see my upcoming speaking tour, and hopefully I get to see you in person and give you a nice hug and a high five. All right, let's get to your questions. Question 1, how many grams of protein should I aim for at each meal? I mentioned earlier, you want to get at least 20 to 30 grams of protein at each meal. And remember, you want to start the meal eating all that protein. Now, a total protein requirement in terms of what you should have throughout the day is going to be 1 gram of protein per pound of your ideal body weight. So if you weigh 175 pounds, but your ideal body weight, your goal weight is 120 pounds, you want to consume 120 grams of protein or get close to that every single day. If I already eat low carb, do I still need to eat carbs last? It will still help. So I would still recommend it if you're already low carb. Chances are you're not eating a lot of high glycemic carbohydrates, which is great, but I would still eat it towards the end of your meal to make sure you're getting the most benefits here. What should I eat to break a 24-hour fast without spiking insulin? I love breaking a 24-hour fast with bone broth, high-quality protein shake, scrambled eggs, and avocado. Any of those are fine. Can I take apple cider vinegar in a capsule form instead of liquid? That's what I do because I don't like the taste of apple cider vinegar. You just want to make sure it's from a credible company, a good company, not apple cider vinegar gummies. And a lot of these capsules and gummies for apple cider vinegar are filled with artificial junk. It doesn't even have enough apple cider vinegar to get you the benefit. So I use the apple cider vinegar complex from Paleo Valley, and I have a 15% coupon code for them, and I'll drop that in the notes down below. Do these strategies still work if I'm insulin resistant or pre-diabetic? 100%. Actually, these strategies are even more important for you if you're insulin resistant or pre-diabetic. Apply it. It'll change your life. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'll see you on the next episode. And by the way, if you want to learn more about visceral fat, remember that's a dangerous fat around your belly, your organs. I have a 30-day protocol that helps you burn visceral fat. And I just published a video outlining that 30-day protocol. Here's a clip from the video, and then click the video on the screen, and I'll see you in that next lesson. As somebody who has been overweight and obese with a ton of visceral fat, I was able to transform my body, my health, using what I'm gonna share with you today. And I've taken thousands of people from all across the world, men, female, all walks of life, through this protocol with great success. And you are about to get it all.